All right, let's dive in. Today we're going way back, back to 1984,
Oh.
the year James Cameron brought us The Terminator.
Yeah.
You sent in this awesome review,
Uh-huh.
and I am pumped to, dig into it with you. We're going to break down, everything. Arnold Schwarzenegger's Terminator, the, Sarah Connor,
Yeah.
all that good stuff. Get ready for time travel and killer robots.
Uh-huh.
All on, a surprisingly small budget for such a huge movie.
It's really interesting what makes The Terminator so cool.
Yeah.
It's so much more than just an action movie.
Oh, yeah.
It's sci-fi, but it's got, horror elements.
Right.
And even a little bit of romance thrown in there.
Yeah.
And it asks some really big questions about, where we're headed as humans.
That's true. Okay, so for anyone who hasn't seen the movie, or maybe it's been a while, let's set the scene, right?
Okay.
Imagine, this super messed up future where the machines are in charge, run by, this self-aware AI called Skynet.
Yeah, Skynet. Classic.
And it's launched a nuclear war against us humans.
Pretty bleak.
And the few survivors left are, fighting back, led by this guy, John Connor.
Okay.
And that's where Skynet's like, uh-oh, gotta stop this guy.
Right, so they send a Terminator back.
Exactly. They send back this cyborg assassin disguised as a human to kill Sarah Connor.
Well,
John Connor's mom before he's even born.
Time travel shenanigans.
Total time travel shenanigans.
Love it.
But the humans have a plan, too.
Okay.
They send back Kyle Reese.
A soldier.
Totally devoted to John Connor to protect Sarah.
Makes sense.
And that's where our story really starts.
Okay, so it's a race against time.
Totally. A desperate fight against, this unstoppable machine.
The way the movie jumps between these two timelines.
Yeah.
The future war in 2029.
Right.
And then, normal 1984.
Yeah.
It's so clever.
It's so good.
It builds so much suspense, and it reveals just enough about the future.
Yes.
Without, overwhelming you with information.
It's like we're figuring it out right alongside Sarah Connor.
Exactly.
1 minute she's just a regular waitress.
Right. Normal life.
And then, bam, killer robots and the fate of humanity.
That's a lot to handle.
No wonder she's this huge, iconic hero.
Absolutely. Her transformation is incredible.
Oh, yeah.
Watching her go from this ordinary woman to a survivor.
Yeah.
It's what makes the movie so gripping.
Totally agree. Even though she's not, the total badass we see later on.
Right, not yet.
You can see those seeds being planted.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Okay, we can't talk about the Terminator without talking about Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Of course not.
As the T-800.
The Terminator.
He is the ultimate killing machine, right?
Yeah, he's iconic.
But was casting him a risk?
I mean, yeah, it was a big gamble.
Right, because he was the action hero back then, not the villain.
But it paid off big time.
It really did.
I mean, his physicality, that totally emotionless stare.
Yeah.
The way he just moves.
Yes.
So cold and mechanical.
It's perfect.
It's terrifying. And he just brings this intensity
totally
that you can't look away from.
I love that scene where he's hunting down Sarah.
Yeah.
And instead of using some crazy future tech,
he
just grabs a phone book.
The phone book.
So simple.
Right.
But it shows you how efficient and ruthless he is.
Totally.
Yeah.
He's a machine.
Yeah.
Using human tools to kill.
It's chilling. And then there are the lines I'll be back.
Classic.
Right before he slams a car into a police station.
That scene.
So good.
Pure cinematic gold.
Right. It's he's a force of nature.
Absolutely.
It's interesting how the movie mixes slasher movie stuff.
Oh, interesting.
With sci-fi.
Yeah.
The Terminator feels like a horror villain sometimes.
Totally. He's stalking his victims.
Right.
Cameron blends those genres so well.
He does.
It's what makes it so unique.
So we've got this unstoppable Terminator. But it's Sarah Connor's story that really grabs you.
Oh, yeah.
Linda Hamilton, she's fantastic.
She is.
She's thrown into this insane situation.
Right, overnight her life changes.
Yeah, and she has to adapt so quickly.
Totally.
And she shows such incredible strength.
Yeah, it's amazing.
We can't forget Kyle Reese. Played by Michael Biehn.
Michael Biehn, yeah.
He's the soldier sent back to protect Sarah. And he's so dedicated to his mission.
Yeah.
But there's this vulnerability to him, too.
He's not just an action hero.
Right.
You see the weight of the future on him.
Yeah.
The sadness.
Yes.
The loss.
It makes him more real.
It does. He's fighting for something bigger than himself.
That's a good point. Our source pointed out a few inconsistencies.
Okay, like what?
Well, one that jumped out was Kyle Reese.
Uh-huh.
He adapts to 1984, like, too easily.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he's from a war-torn future.
Right. He should be lost.
But he's driving, using weapons, even the slang.
He fits right in.
It's a little,
Yeah, convenient.
Yeah, convenient. Maybe the resistance, like, prepped him.
Yeah, maybe they gave him some history lessons.
Yeah, I guess. It makes you wonder, though, right?
Yeah, like how much can you really prepare for time travel?
That's a good question. Okay, so James Cameron,
The mastermind.
he created this visually stunning film
It really is.
on a tiny budget, like $6.5 million.
That's crazy.
Right. How did he do that?
It's incredible, right?
Yeah.
It shows how talented and resourceful he is.
Well, huh?
He knew exactly what he wanted visually,
Okay.
and he got creative with limited resources.
Like shooting the future scenes at night
Oh, yeah, that's a good example.
to save money.
Right.
But it also made it, like, creepier.
Totally. Turning a problem into a strength.
Exactly. It proves you don't always need tons of money to
Okay.
create amazing visuals.
You need talent and vision.
That's true. And his use of, like, practical effects and miniatures.
It gives the film that gritty look.
It does. Okay, the Terminator's endoskeleton.
Oh, yeah.
That reveal at the end.
Still so cool.
I know, right? Even if the effects look a little dated now.
Yeah, a little.
It's just such a powerful image.
It is. And that design,
It's so iconic.
it's perfect for the unstoppable antagonist.
Speaking of the antagonist,
Yeah.
our source mentioned another inconsistency.
Oh, what's that?
The Terminator's tracking abilities.
Okay.
Sometimes it makes sense,
Yeah.
but other times it feels too easy.
A little too convenient.
Right. I think this is a good spot to pause.
Okay.
We've covered a lot,
Oh, yeah.
the plot, the characters, those inconsistencies.
Some strengths and weaknesses.
Exactly.
All right, welcome back to our deep dive into the Terminator.
Yeah, I'm ready to go deeper.
We talked about like the story, the characters, the visuals.
Yeah, all that good stuff.
But let's get into some of the bigger themes.
Okay, I'm interested.
Because there's some really thought-provoking stuff here.
Yeah, I agree.
One thing that really stuck with me from the review you sent,
Yeah.
this whole idea of free will versus destiny.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
Right. Like Sarah Connor is told she's going to have this kid.
John Connor, the leader of the resistance.
Exactly.
It's a lot of pressure.
It is. And it makes you wonder, like, does she have any choice?
Right. Is it all preordained? Is her fate sealed?
It's a question that she's wrestling with throughout the whole movie.
I can imagine.
Like, at first she's terrified and overwhelmed. But as things unfold,
Yeah.
she starts taking control.
Okay, interesting.
She makes choices that actually change things.
Okay, so she's not just a puppet of fate.
Right. She's pushing back against that idea that everything's already decided.
It's like the Terminator showing up.
Yeah.
And Kyle Reese, too.
They kind of wake her up to her own power.
I like that. Like, it awakens something inside her.
Totally. She discovers this strength she never knew she had.
She becomes a fighter.
She does that.
Not just for herself.
But for all of humanity.
And that theme, defying fate,
Yeah.
it resonates,
Oh, for sure. Especially in sci-fi.
Right, where we often explore, like, what if?
What if we could change the future?
What if our choices really matter?
Exactly.
Another theme that feels really relevant today,
Uh-huh.
the whole technology angle.
Oh, yeah.
The potential for good and for bad.
Definitely.
On one hand, you have Skynet, right?
It's AI that basically destroys the world.
Yeah, scary stuff.
But then technology is also what allows the resistance to fight back.
That's true. So it's a double-edged sword.
It is, and it reflects our own anxieties about technology.
I think that's why the movie still feels so relevant.
Totally. We're surrounded by technology.
And it's getting more advanced all the time.
So it makes you think, are we in control?
Or is it controlling us?
The Terminator doesn't give us easy answers,
No.
but it forces us to ask those tough questions.
I like that.
Thinking about Sarah Connor's journey,
Yeah.
it also makes a statement about gender roles.
Oh, interesting. How so?
Well, she starts off as this pretty typical damsel in distress.
Okay. The helpless waitress?
Yeah, but by the end, she's anything but helpless.
You're right. She's a warrior.
Exactly.
Terminator came out in '84.
Uh-huh.
Back then, female action heroes were pretty rare.
Yeah, they were usually just love interests or victims.
Exactly.
But Sarah breaks that mold.
She does.
She's tough, resourceful, and she fights for her life.
And for the future of humanity.
It's a big change from the usual tropes.
It's inspiring.
And it paved the way for more complex female characters in action movies.
I think that's one of the reasons why Sarah Connor is such a legend.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, she shows that women can be just as strong and courageous as men.
She flips the script.
The movie also does a great job showing, like, the emotional impact of all this.
Yeah, the toll it takes on Sarah and Kyle.
Right, they're thrown into this crazy situation.
Life or death.
And their relationship develops in the middle of it all.
Right. And our source mentioned that their romance felt a bit rushed.
Yeah, I can see that.
But I think, considering the circumstances, it makes sense that their connection would move quickly.
They're fighting for survival.
Every moment counts.
There's this intensity to their situation.
Definitely. And their relationship is crucial to the story.
Oh, absolutely.
Without it, John Connor wouldn't exist.
Right, which changes everything.
Even if it feels fast-paced.
Yeah.
It serves a bigger purpose.
It highlights the importance of human connection.
Especially in the face of, like, total disaster.
That's a good point. Okay, about the stakes.
Yeah.
Our source pointed out something about time travel.
Okay, what's that?
It's mentioned that the Resistance eventually defeats Skynet.
Yeah.
But then how does time travel still matter in the sequels?
Oh, yeah, that's a head-scratcher.
Right. If Skynet is gone...
It shouldn't be able to send Terminators back.
It's the pretty big inconsistency.
It is, and the sequels don't really address it.
So we're left to wonder...
Maybe the victory wasn't as complete as they thought.
Or maybe it's an alternate timeline.
Time travel is messy.
It is.
Full of paradoxes and what-ifs.
It keeps us guessing.
So we've got these big themes,
Yeah.
iconic characters, some things that don't quite add up.
What do you think is the biggest takeaway?
You know, for me, The Terminator is a story of hope.
Okay, even with all the doom and gloom.
Even then. Sarah Connor shows us what resilience looks like.
She goes from scared to strong.
She's willing to fight for her future.
And for her son's future.
It's a reminder that we all have that potential.
To rise to the occasion.
Even when things seem impossible.
Sarah shows us that strength can come from anywhere.
And that even in the darkest times, there's always a reason to keep fighting.
And that's powerful.
It is. It goes beyond sci-fi.
It's about being human.
Facing our fears, overcoming obstacles, fighting for something better.
And to wrap things up, let's leave our listeners with something to think about.
Okay.
Our source asked, what if you were Sarah Connor?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Right. How would you react to learning about your destiny?
About killer robots from the future.
Exactly.
Would you embrace it, fight it?
Or just completely freak out?
It makes you examine your own beliefs.
About free will, courage, the unknown.
It's a question that stays with you.
Okay, welcome back to our Terminator deep dive.
Back for more.
We've dug into the plot, the characters, all those big ideas.
Right.
But now I think it's time for some, like, behind-the-scenes fun.
Oh, I love that.
You know, our source had some great trivia.
Okay, hit me with it.
I'm ready to geek out a little.
Haha, me too.
Okay, so first up,
Yeah.
the budget for the Terminator.
Okay.
Only $6.5 million.
What?
That's insane.
That's like nothing for a sci-fi movie.
I know, right? Especially one with such amazing visuals and action.
It's mind-blowing.
Same's Cameron, he's a genius. He really knew how to, like, stretch a dollar.
He's resourceful.
And creative.
Just so creative.
Like shooting those future scenes at night.
Oh, yeah, to save money.
Exactly.
But it also made it, like, way creepier.
Right. It totally worked.
Total happy accident.
Speaking of things that worked,
Uh-huh.
can you imagine the Terminator without Arnold Schwarzenegger?
It's impossible.
He's the Terminator.
He's iconic.
But get this.
Okay.
He wasn't Cameron's first choice.
No way. Seriously.
Seriously.
Who else were they thinking of?
So Cameron initially wanted someone, like, more average looking.
Okay, to blend in.
Exactly. He even considered O.J. Simpson.
O.J. Simpson. Wow.
I know, right? It would have been a totally different movie.
Wild.
But then Cameron realized
What?
Arnold's, like, physique, that robotic acting style,
Right.
it was perfect.
Perfect for the Terminator.
He wanted him to be this unstoppable force.
And Arnold delivered.
Big time. It made him a superstar.
It did.
But I heard Arnold was actually hesitant to take the role.
Really? Why?
Well, back then, he was known for playing the hero.
Right, the good guy.
He was worried about playing a villain.
That it might hurt his image.
Yeah, I get it.
It was a big risk.
But Cameron convinced him.
And it paid off.
Huge payoff.
Sometimes you got to take those risks.
That's true. Okay, here's another fun fact.
Okay.
Linda Hamilton, who plays Sarah Connor,
Yeah.
She was actually dating James Cameron during filming.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
It makes you wonder, right?
Yeah, how it might have, like, affected their work.
Sarah's such a strong character.
She is.
It's interesting to think about how their relationship might have influenced that.
Yeah, and their chemistry on screen.
Definitely adds another layer.
For sure.
Okay, let's talk music.
Oh, yeah, the music.
Brad Fiedel's score.
So good.
It's iconic.
It's perfect for the movie.
It builds so much tension.
Yeah, it's like you're right there with them.
And the way he created those sounds.
Yeah, tell me about it.
He used like metal objects and stuff.
Oh, wow.
Mixed with synthesizers.
Interesting.
So it's mechanical, but also organic.
Like the Terminator itself.
Exactly.
It's brilliant.
It is. Every detail was carefully considered.
They had a vision.
They did.
And they turned a small budget.
Tiny budget.
Into a masterpiece.
A sci-fi classic.
Okay, so wrapping up our Terminator deep dive.
Yeah.
What's the final takeaway?
I think the Terminator reminds us that a good story, well told, is powerful.
It really is.
It can stick with you for years.
Decades. Even.
And this movie has it all.
Action, sci-fi, horror, even a little romance.
And those big themes.
Free will, destiny, technology.
It makes you think.
And it keeps us coming back for more.
Exactly.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
We hope you enjoyed exploring the Terminator. All right, everybody, welcome back to another deep dive.
Yeah, glad to be back.
Today, going full-on sci-fi mode.
Sounds good.
We are talking all about the Terminator.
One of the greats.
1984 classic. And we got a whole stack of fun facts about this movie.
Excellent.
Some stuff, you may know some stuff that might surprise you.
Yeah, we're gonna kind of go beyond just like the surface level stuff everybody knows.
Yeah, like come with me if you want to live, and hasta la vista, baby.
Right, exactly. But there's so much more to it and a lot more interesting trivia and stuff behind the scenes that went into making this movie.
Yeah, and like I said, this is all based on some awesome source material, so just want to shout out to the team
absolutely,
that puts this together. And yeah, let's dive right in.
Let's do it.
This one, I have to admit, when I first saw this, I was like, what?
Oh, yeah.
O.J. Simpson almost cast as the Terminator.
Yeah.
Like, what would that have been like?
It's so interesting to think about because now, obviously, we have very different associations with O.J. Simpson. But back then, he was kind of an up-and-coming, star athlete and everything like that.
Right.
And Cameron was looking for somebody who he thought would be believable as like this unstoppable force, And so OJ was kind of in the running for a while. But, Cameron ultimately decided against it because he felt like audiences wouldn't buy OJ as this kind of ruthless killing machine.
Right.
He didn't really have the right look or the right feel for the character. And, I think Cameron really wanted someone who embodied that kind of like inhuman threat.
Yeah.
And OJ just didn't quite fit the bill.
Yeah. I mean, you can kind of see that in retrospect now, it seems so bizarre. But I get it.
Right.
At the time, I guess.
Yeah, it was a different time for sure.
And it's interesting, too, because I was thinking about it and I was like, would that have changed the legacy of the film if he was in it?
Yeah.
Given everything.
I mean, I don't know the answer to that.
Right.
It's impossible to say. But it's definitely something that makes you think, like, how would that have been perceived differently?
Yeah. I mean, they definitely dodged a bullet there.
Yeah.
So, good call, James Cameron. All right, let's move on. This is another one that I found super fascinating.
Okay.
Talking about the budget of the film. So, apparently it was only $6.4 million.
Which is crazy.
I know.
For a movie like that.
Like, how did they even do that?
It's really a testament to Cameron's, filmmaking ingenuity and, his ability to kind of stretch a dollar.
Yeah.
He relied a lot on practical effects, a lot of like in-camera tricks.
Right.
The famous stop motion animation that's used for like the Terminator skeletal form. Like that was all done, practically, and it looks so eerie and effective. Right. And it was done on a fraction of the budget that CGI would have cost.
Yeah, I mean, looking at it now, it still holds up.
It totally does.
Like, it's not like...
It's so effective.
You're looking at it and you're like, oh, that looks super dated.
Yeah. It's really impressive.
Like, it still looks really good.
Yeah, and it's because of the creativity that was involved. And the limitations actually kind of forced them to be more innovative.
Yeah. I mean, they definitely were resourceful.
Yeah.
And it worked.
It really did.
So kudos to them.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to one that is just mind-blowing.
Okay.
This is all about James Cameron.
Oh, okay.
He sold the rights to the Terminator
Okay.
for
For how much?
$1.
You're kidding.
I know.
That's unbelievable.
That's hard to believe.
So he did it to maintain complete creative control over the project.
Wow, that's a huge gamble.
I know, huge risk.
But I guess he really believed in his vision.
Clearly, because it paid off.
Yeah, it certainly did.
Huge way.
Yeah, but that takes a lot of guts to do something like that.
I know.
To bet on yourself like that.
Yeah, to risk everything for your art like that.
Yeah, and it's not like it was a guaranteed success at the time, but I mean, he really felt strongly about it. Yeah, and it's interesting too, because it kind of makes you wonder, like, is that level of control always good,
Yeah,
for a director?
that's a good question.
Yeah.
I mean, there's definitely like a balance there,
Yeah.
because on the one hand, you have like these auteur directors like Cameron or Tarantino or Nolan,
Right.
who they really thrive on that level of autonomy.
Yeah.
And it allows them to like realize their vision without any compromise.
Right.
But then on the other hand, sometimes too much control can be a bad thing.
Right.
You can kind of go down these creative rabbit holes
Yeah.
and end up with something that's not very good.
Right.
So it's really about finding that balance, I think.
Yeah, it's interesting because you do see that sometimes where people have complete creative control and it doesn't always work out so well.
Yeah, for sure.
So anyway, very interesting story there.
Absolutely.
All right, let's talk about a line
Okay.
that everybody knows.
All right. I'll be back.
Chills
So good.
every time. But did you know that Arnold actually wanted to say, "I will be back"?
Really?
I know.
I never knew that.
It's crazy, right?
That's interesting.
So apparently he just didn't like the way "I'll be back" sounded. And he thought "I will be back" was much more powerful.
I see.
But thank goodness James Cameron stuck to his guns.
Yeah. I'm glad he did.
Because "I'll be back" is so much better.
It is. It just rolls off the tongue.
It's iconic.
It is.
Like people say it all the time.
Ugh.
It's one of those lines that has just become part of pop culture.
It really has.
And it's amazing to think that like just that small change in phrasing
Yeah.
makes such a big difference.
It really does.
It's those little details that can really have a huge impact.
I mean, it's crazy to think about, like, what if he had said, "I will be back"?
Yeah.
Like, would it have had the same impact?
I don't think so.
Probably not.
It just doesn't have the same ring to it.
No, it does.
That's not as catchy.
Yeah. So, good. Call James Cameron again.
All right, we got one more here.
Okay.
This was kind of a fun fact
Right.
that ties together several of our favorite sci-fi franchises.
Ooh, I love these.
Okay, so Bill Paxton,
Okay.
who plays the unfortunate punk who gets terminated
Right.
at the beginning.
Yeah.
He also had memorable encounters with a xenomorph in Aliens
Oh, that's right.
and a predator in Predator 2.
Oh, wow. He really can't catch a break.
I know.
Poor Bill Paxton.
He just can't get away from these like scary creatures.
It's like he's always in the wrong place at the wrong time
Exactly.
with the wrong creature.
Yeah, he's got bad luck when it comes to sci-fi.
Yeah, he does.
But it's funny though, because it's like you see that a lot with actors where they kind of become synonymous with a particular genre.
Yeah.
Like they just get typecast.
Yeah, it's like typecasting, but in a way that kind of works for everyone.
Yeah.
Like we as the audience, we come to expect certain actors to deliver in certain genres.
Right.
And it creates this kind of like familiarity
Yeah.
and anticipation.
Yeah, it's like shorthand.
Yeah.
You see Bill Paxton's name in the credits.
You know what you're going to get.
You're like, okay, something bad's about to happen to this guy.
It's going to be good.
So yeah, I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's a good one.
So wow, we learned a lot about the Terminator.
We did.
Some really interesting trivia.
Yeah.
What was your favorite?
I think for me, it's just so fascinating how that one little change
Yeah.
in Arnold's line, "I'll be back" versus "I will be back."
Yeah.
Just how much of a difference it makes.
It's huge.
It's a totally different feel.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't be the same
No.
if he had said, "I will be back."
And what about you?
What about you?
I think for me, it's a tie between the O.J. Simpson casting
Yeah.
and the fact that he sold the rights for $1.
It's pretty wild.
This shows like how much he believed in it.
Yeah. Really believed in his vision.
Yeah.
And it's amazing that it paid off.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's a huge risk.
Yeah.
And it's incredible that it worked out the way it did.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, who would have thought
I know.
that that would happen?
It's a great story.
It really is. So there you have it, folks. Some amazing Terminator trivia.
Yeah, hopefully you learned something new.
I know I did.
Me too.
And Yeah, I think next time I watch the film, I'm definitely going to be thinking about all this stuff.
Yeah, it really adds a whole new layer
It
to the
does.
viewing experience.
It does. So there you have it, folks. Thanks for joining us for another deep dive.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
We'll catch you next time.
See you later.